Pastors for Peace started out in 1988 as a one-time caravan, and it became an ongoing project. There was the Reverend Lucius Walker was on a delegation to Nicaragua looking at the community organizing model of the Sandinista government. And they were caught in a contra-attack on the Rio Escondido, which connects Rama and Bluefields on the Atlantic coast of Nicaragua. And he was getting the bullet hole cleaned out in Managua when the veterans convoy showed up in Managua. And they had a meeting and decided to do a caravan with pastors to drive trucks down to Nicaragua in violation of the embargo of Nicaragua at that time. And so I was invited to go as a mechanic, and I said, I don't think I want to go. I don't like proselytizing, and I'm kind of an atheist. And they said, well, you'll get along with these pastors. They believe that the best sermon is a good example. I'm like, oh, all right. I liked Nicaragua at that time, so I went along and ended up volunteering for caravans for 4 years. I went on 6 caravans, and finally I couldn't afford to go any longer even as a volunteer, and they started putting me on salary, or they pay me to go on the caravans. So we did caravans to Nicaragua every year from 1988 until a few years ago. Cool. And we integrated Honduras into the caravans in 1998, which is an incredible diverse amount of situations we learn about there. Honduras is a very interesting country. We did 6 caravans to El Salvador, 3 to Guatemala, and around 17 caravans that went to Chiapas between 1994 and today. We've done 21 caravans to Cuba since 1992, which are all large-scale civil disobedience action against the embargo and the travel ban of Cuba. We've taken thousands of people down to Cuba to see for themselves, how much deception there is in the United States about Cuba and the reality of Cuba. We're looking at doing a caravan to Central America this spring that would go to Honduras and Nicaragua. It'll be a very interesting time to go to Honduras with all that's been going on. I'm doing a separate caravan down to Big Mountain this end of this month. We're going to do a Solidarity Week with Navajo elders who've been facing forced relocation since 1974. And they're facing the world's largest coal strip mine, and we've been trying to generate support for them and successfully done so with caravans and human rights delegations and getting the elders around the country to speak and bringing in United Nations special rapporteurs and getting elders to Washington, D.C. and to the United Nations. And it's been a lot of organizing around the issue, and there's still several families that are on the land still resisting relocation, and it's great because it's the world's largest coal strip mine, and people are now realizing that we're destroying the earth by burning coal and digging it up and making a mess of the planet in so many various ways. This is one of the worst, and the idea of forcibly relocating traditional Navajo, some of whom don't even speak English. They've been on these lands for hundreds of years. They herd sheep, grow corn, The idea of forcibly relocating them off their land to strip mine the area. It's a beautiful area, beautiful stone bluffs and cedars sage and sheep and people making blankets. And it's an atrocity that's been going on, and the mainstream press doesn't like to report on it. And so that's why we start alternative media organizations, is to try to get people to wake up to the fact that their information diet is really suffering if they're getting their information from corporate sources.
So how do you see American imperialism ending?
Consciousness. Consciousness leads to action. We need to develop better consciousness. We need to educate people. We need them to know the many things that they don't know that are kept from them by corporate media sources. We need to do public education about the conflicts of interest implicit in corporations controlling people's access to information. You know, everything in the world shouldn't be controlled by corporations, and corporate media is a part of that happening. Corporate media has a conflict of interest in alerting people to the fact that that's what's going on, and it's only going to get worse if we don't stop it.